Welcome back. We are still at it, and we're so glad that you're back. And this week we are going to be talking about chapters 12 through 14. Okay, and once again, I mean, I feel like I have to remind you of this every week, because if you are like perfectionists like me, and if you didn't read your 50 pages, and if you're not keeping up, that's okay.
Right.
We're going to help you unpack this together. You can catch up later, and you'll have a couple of little fun things that you can highlight as we go.
And the fun tidbit is the book's not linear. It's circular because we're spiraling. So it's the same revolution around and around and around. No, every chapter is the same content, but from a different perspective going around.
That's wild.
So you can read it in any order. It's kind of a fun thought.
Wow.
See, this is like the behind the scenes because we got the author.
This is a little,
it's
a little Christopher Nolan-y. You know, we're kind of like, you know, what is it the end? Is it the beginning? I don't know.
Who knows?
Do you know?
You'll never know.
You know, yeah.
Wow.
Strong. Okay. We're going to jump right in because, and I feel like this is very timely because this is around the time, you know, you're getting a little distracted, a little tempted to not show up to book club or e-group. But Pastor Levi got something for that.
Yes.
That example of you guys on a plane while the Northern Lights is outside is brilliant.
Yes.
Wild.
Yes.
And like, of course you would like, everyone has their windows open, right? No, on a screen, on their phone. And how you use that to kind of talk through distractions. You said this is on page 172. If you want to follow with me towards the end, it says, the devil doesn't just destroy us with trials, he distracts us with diversions.
Wow.
It has been well said that if he can't make us bad, he'll settle for busy. And this phrase right here, we can't be awed by what we are unaware of.
Wow.
I would love to ask you, Pastor Levi, how have you personally, how have you caught the drift? How do you catch yourself almost like, ooh, I'm getting distracted a little bit. How do you catch yourself?
Well, a big thing is a simple thing, is prioritizing time outside. When God made Adam and Eve first, they were put into a wild, open, beautiful place. They were meant to tame the Garden of Eden and cultivate it and all of that.
Yeah.
And so there's something inside of our modern city, Uber to the building to AC to drive through, that actually breaks down the parts of our lives that are meant to be wild and free and strong.
Yeah.
And so just getting outside. Trying, at least 5 times a week, running outside, climbing a mountain, camping, like those things are part and parcel with feeling alive. Even they say if you're in a hospital and you have a view of a tree outside a window, you'll stay less and take less meds and have less pain in the hospital because some part of you yearns and longs for God's creation.
That's
It is always praising God, and it reminds you to do the same thing.
God, that connection. Like it should be obvious, but I underestimate it, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the things that was helpful.
Even a painting of nature helps you inside have less cortisol and more of happy feelings.
That's wild.
Wow.
So in conclusion, go outside.
Yeah.
Go outside. You also talk about being, you give us these practical steps in this chapter. You talk about being playful in your work. I wanted to ask you this because I'm a coffee snob. So when you said Nappuccino,
reaches for coffee.
Yeah. Right.
The Nappuccino to me was one of my favorite things. I was like, I have to try this.
People have been looking for it at Starbucks. They're like, Nappuccino.
Yeah.
Basically, you tend to, when you're trying to come up with a good idea, strain. Need to think of this. Need to think of this. That actually cuts off the blood flow to your imagination. Pressure. We need the childlike state of a relaxed, and to make the connections. And that's hard to foster when you're focusing on a deadline.
Yeah.
And so Thomas Edison said, I never go to sleep without giving my subconscious something to work on. So if you revisit something like a sermon or a song or whatever, a business proposal right before you go to bed, then ask you, like, hey, Lord, please help me to keep thinking on it while I'm sleeping. And you go to sleep and you wake up keeping doing it.
Wow.
Now, you don't have to it doesn't have to be overnight. And it could be a nap. So one guy said, coffee has a 20-minute window before it hits your bloodstream. So take a coffee, like grab a shot of espresso or whatever, go to sleep, try to take your nap, and just as you come back up from your nap, the caffeine's hitting your heart, and it's almost like a nappuccino.
A nappuccino.
That is so wild.
Like we're all trying.
You don't wake up groggy, you wake up like
100%.
Hulk smash,
Right.
20 minutes. So listen, put a little timer, 20 minutes
yeah.
before e-group, 20 minutes before book club.
Right.
Yeah.
Let it
Just
hit,
go to
right?
nap really quick.
Absolutely.
Dude, there's nothing like a nap. When I was a little
love
kid,
a
it was
nap.
like, I hated nap time. Now I'm like, can I please have a nap time?
Isn't that
Love
so
that.
funny how
Yeah.
opposite that works? I
That's
feel you on
crazy.
that deeply.
I have a quick question. You talk in page 181 about how being different, how Joshua and Caleb had a different spirit. And I love being unique. I think unique is amazing. And you say being weird is the point.
Yeah.
And in a society right now where we see a lot of uniformity, a lot of people trying to fit in, how do you prioritize weird?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so natural to look to each other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even when Jesus told Peter his assignment for him was to die on the cross, he said, "Peter, you're gonna die for me." What was Peter's reaction? He said, "What about John? What are you gonna get John to do?" Like,
Interesting.
it's just so natural for us to look to each other.
It's innate.
But God didn't make a mistake when He made me. Like, He doesn't. God's not going, "Why can't you be more like Louis Giglio?" You know what I mean? Like, He's like, "No, I created you with works that I want you to walk in, right?" And so we can appreciate other people at their best, but not feel inferior because of them.
Right.
And so I think God didn't create just one kind of animal. He created all sorts of different kinds, and He did the same thing with all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like goes back to a few weeks ago. You were talking about how being great is the goal, not being greater.
That's right.
It's that difference. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's a great segue into the next chapter, because chapter 13 talks about you don't have to be a rancher.
Yes.
By the way, we need to talk about these
Ooh.
titles are just incredible.
Honestly, they're
They really
excellent.
are.
They're
They can be their own
juicy.
books.
What a relief. I don't. Yeah.
This is
That's so nice.
just even that story about the rancher, his whole life
Yeah.
doing this one thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because his family expectation was
Yes,
that he would do
yes.
that.
And
Yeah.
it's like, nah, actually,
Which
I
is
want
a
to be
lot of us.
An electrician.
Yes.
I want to be an
A lot of
electrician,
us.
which is so like has
Yeah.
one has
Yes.
nothing, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And my question, just even this question alone might send me spiraling. And so bear with me, y'all give me some grace.
Okay, watch
Well,
out.
we're here to catch you.
Yeah.
How do I know? Because I think about him, and I've felt like that oftentimes of like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you pose this question, am I doing the thing that God wants
Yeah.
me to do?
Yes.
How do I discern the difference between what I want to do, what others want me to do, and what God wants me
Not
to
the three
do?
angles.
Yeah.
Because it's
Not
like,
the triangulation.
Yeah.
where do I?
Triangulation.
That's how GPS works. It's not one satellite, it's three. So I would say
Okay.
There's
we
a-
triangulate God's will, not with any one subjective sense or perception. We don't make rash decisions in the midst of a storm. I'm having a bad day, I'm quit my job.
Right.
I'm having a hard time. That's it. I'm out of here. Right. So this was a season that I went through 38 to 40 in the book.
Yes.
I didn't write about it till I'm releasing it now, almost 43. Okay. So why? In the midst of it, we heal our wounds.
Yeah.
We share our scars. So
Yeah.
when this was a wound, I didn't quit my job. Although honestly, I thought about walking away from Fresh Life and ministry and
That's wild.
preaching in that period,
That's
but
real.
I just kept on with what God told me to do.
Yeah.
Do the last
Wow.
thing He told you to do until you're through the storm.
Right.
Wow.
And then on the other side, we can evaluate. Okay. So we triangulate with number one, what we want, right?
Yeah.
That's not bad. God has given us the desires of our heart. That's fine. We just have to keep them in check with the markers of His will, which
Yes.
is gratitude, which is
Yes.
purity, which
Yes.
is salvation, community,
Yes.
all of those things. And when we triangulate them using all those things to love God with heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? And within community, then what do we have the peace to do, right?
Yeah.
Augustine said, love God and do whatever you want. So then if you want to go be an electrician, go do it. Or for
Yes.
me, my second half of life now is the same job, but with a new spirit.
Yeah.
A Caleb spirit.
Wow.
Right.
And so
right.
we launched a youth conference.
Wow.
You know, I'm spending more time in mentorship, doing more things where I can get
Incredible.
around young leaders. And so you don't just have to go into a new line of work. You can do the old line of work with a new attitude.
Wow. I mean,
My God.
that is
My Lord.
so
So helpful.
incredibly helpful because I think the tendency is just to give up on the thing.
Yes.
And
Or to chase the greener grass.
yes.
Maybe if I moved to New York, maybe if I had this
Yeah.
job.
Yes. Versus like
Repeat
changing
every
the
18 months.
spirit.
Exactly. Cyclical.
Yeah, changing the spirit in which you approach it. That is
Because the
that
problem
so
is you
beautiful.
can run from your problems, but
Yep.
you'll still be there when you get there on the other side.
That's
you know?
true.
So deal with it at the deeper level.
Yeah.
And then ask, God, what do you want me to do now?
Wow. I mean, that's so helpful. I have like, let me ask this. This is like, to me, one of the most practical and helpful things that I feel like I can apply in my life right now that I really hope that you can take too. This tidbit is on page 187 at the top of the page, where you said, take small steps towards accomplishing something big, all while not being deterred by the smallness of our progress.
Yes.
And then I love this because you really break down like the power. It's almost like if we were to go back to the stair analogy,
Sure.
Yeah.
you know, if it's like one step at a time, because what we like to do is take the elevator up.
Correct.
And so, like, can you talk a little bit about, because I know that you break it down in here, but I'd love to hear you kind of process out loud about the power of small steps and like doing the one thing like that is small enough to where you can do it.
Yeah.
Because I like to set big goals and then I get so discouraged when I can't hit them. But this was so powerful.
Don't they say that if you took a helicopter to the top of Mount Everest and got out, you would die because you didn't acclimate on the way up? You got to take the base camp back down. Base camp 2 back down. We all wish we could be airlifted to our goals and our dreams, but it would destroy you.
My Lord.
Your lungs would burst.
My Lord.
Right?
You're
So I
right.
think we have to take the one step at a time. I wrote this book, which is 300 pages, 1,000 words per day. And except for Sundays, 1,000 words per day.
That's crazy.
And so I think it's just a little thing. It's a little unglamorous stuff. It's slow slicing. It's 1,000 paper cuts can kill someone, but also can get a goal accomplished.
I'm kind of not okay.
I mean,
Strong.
I guess the question that I would ask myself, maybe that you would ask yourself, is like, what is the small step then for me?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to remember the examples that you gave because they were just not. It was like you had talked somewhere in the book about like just like go to the gym, not even like promising yourself
many
that you're
habits.
Don't work
Yes.
out. Don't work out.
Go to
Don't.
the gym, just
I'm
drink
just gonna
water.
walk in,
Yeah.
have some. The only machine I'm allowed to use is the water fountain.
Yeah.
Then come back home.
Right.
Yeah.
One page of a book.
One push up a day.
Yes, one push
Well,
a
while I'm
day.
down there, maybe I'll do 2. Who knows?
Yeah, one
Yes.
page a day, like you know,
Yeah.
like that, that to me is like, oh, yeah, I can do that.
Yes.
Life change is not one thing, one big thing, and
Right.
boom. You know, it's tiny things constantly repeated.
Right.
So good.
Stepping.
So good. Let's get one last question from chapter 16. Albert Einstein's secret.
No,
Yeah.
say it.
Can I say it? Can I not say it?
Say it.
Say it. I'll
His
say it.
dirty little
This
secret.
dirty little secret.
Don't call it his secret.
Yeah, like you made a pizza.
We got.
no,
We
no.
want.
Did I not say dirty the
We're all
first time?
we're-
Did I miss it?
Chapter title?
Did I just say little secret?
We're all about
secret.
that clickbait in the chapter.
Dirty
title.
little
Yeah.
secret.
Come on, I agonized
get it,
over
get
that.
it,
Don't
get it.
deprive me of it.
This is great.
I love it.
You said Albert considered curiosity,
Yes.
not traditional education, to be
Yeah.
responsible for his success.
Yeah.
You talk about these steps. You talk about some of the things that you've adopted in the later kind of like season of your life. How have you used curiosity to get closer to God, find yourself,
Yeah.
find a new version of
Yeah.
yourself? Because I typically don't associate curiosity with my faith.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you said it earlier. It's the questions we ask. It's the different questions we're willing to
Yeah.
attack it from, finding a new angle on the problem. So
wow.
even in my relationship with my wife, the biggest breakthrough in our relationship has been curiosity. If she comes at me
Wow.
huffy and triggered clearly, it's easy for me to meet that energy with that same level of energy.
Yeah.
But if I put my curiosity hat on and say, where is this coming from? My beautiful wife is not normally like this. Something's got her keyed up. I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
I wonder what's under that. Curiosity in my own life. When I find myself drawn towards online shopping, obsessively ruminating about whatever in the spiral of thinking, I instead can ask, ooh, that's not me at my best. I wonder what's going on that's causing me to want the numbness from this whatever.
Yes.
And so to be curious, I wonder what this is telling me.
Wow.
And then same thing with God. So what's God trying to say to me here?
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, how's he trying to get my attention? I've heard Pastor Stephen say whenever an angel came in the Bible, God immediately had to say, do not fear.
Yep.
So maybe in your anxiety, there's an angel that God's trying to use to get a hold of you. So I think we just have to ask the better questions. And how do we ask good questions? We get curious.
Yeah.
Get curious.
Which was
Curiosity.
Albert Einstein's dirty little secret. He wasn't a good student. He wasn't even great at directions. He couldn't get home, but he was great at asking the right questions.
Wow.
Incredible.
Curiosity. Well, I think this is the
Excellent.
perfect time for us to exercise some curiosity
Period.
and to go into our discussions and our time together. Whew, there's a lot to unpack. And so we're going to go ahead, let you guys go. But here's the deal. We want to see you back here. We're going to wrap this thing up strong. And so we'll see you same place next week.